Good morning. Welcome to Humor, Grace, and Grief on Facebook. This is the Friday Grief Chat, and it should be Jill and Deb, but we are now grieving Deb's internet service and hoping that it will resurrect itself momentarily because we do like miracles around here just as much as we like talking about grief and grace and humor and all the things. And it's Friday. Oh my gosh, it's Friday. Friday Grief Chat. It's so good to be here. It's so good to be at Friday. It's awesome that this weekend we go into fall. Look, sweater set because fall's coming. Even in Southern California, fall is coming. And then we have all the things. We have folks who are going to be celebrating High Holy Days, and we have Halloween coming. And don't you know at our house, Halloween is all the time because we have a giant skeleton in our backyard that is lit up and holds a sparkler, a solar sparkler. And now we have a skeleton of a dog so that our skeleton is not lonely because we believe in sharing around here. Good morning, Deb. It's nice to see you.
Hi, some days I just don't know what happened.
Some days I
I
end up
love
on using my phone.
that was going to be my next thing if I needed
Hotspot is a
to.
beautiful
So,
thing. Yes. How
yeah,
are you?
yeah.
How is your Friday? How have you seen all the humor and the grief this week?
Well, it really helps me to have pre-Halloween festivities and seeing all of the decor, and people send me food things. And so I'm thinking, I don't get to eat it, but they send me Halloween food ideas. And, I am got a couple new ones in mind. So I've been making Rice Krispie treats that look like little monsters.
Oh,
Last year I made Rice Krispie treats into a graveyard with edible headstones, and
nice.
that I wrote, and because I wanted to try marshmallow spider webs, you know.
There you go. That would be a trick, but wow.
I know, what can I say? And it's just, oh, I love this time of year because the weird parts of me always got to shine. That might sound odd. My mom did not have the same sense of body humor that I had. And I love dressing up. I would spend weeks thinking about my costume, how I was going to do it a year. Ah,
Yeah. Yeah,
oh, there we go.
my second youngest
Can
grandson,
you
my
hear
middle
me?
I
I know I'm
can.
sort of coming in and out.
You're fine. My middle grandson has his
Good.
birthday coming up and he wants dress up. Lots of dress up. So I'm trying to put together a dress up box for him because his favorite time of year. Plus, he just likes to be all the hymns he can be, right? I think he would join with you in that
Right.
thought process. Yeah, yeah.
I always brought costumes to camp, and people could dress up for like the dance or anything. And then it wasn't as fun for the kids because they were all growing up. Even the little ones were like, meh. So I made up a box for across the street and just gave them, because she fostered a bunch of kids for a long time, had that. And now I'm ready to part. I don't, some kids want still Halloween costumes from Bubby's house. I'm starting to get rid of my clown stuff and some of the shirts and things like that. So maybe they'll come over. Maybe I'll just bring them over and say, what do you want?
That would be an awesome way to share and to continue that tradition,
Right, right.
you know? Yeah.
Yeah. What else is going on? I cleaned up. Last week I talked about cleaning up this cabinet. I cleaned up my office that I actually work at a table at. And Daryl said, "Oh my God, I see the chair and the table." And I threw out a bunch of stuff. I rearranged and all those things. And it wasn't because it wasn't grandkids stuff, it wasn't as hard to clean it
Yeah.
up. It was easy. Toss, toss, toss. Don't need it. Toss, rip. Daryl wants to burn, but I'm going to rip it up anyway. And, and, you know, maybe people notice this when they have a loss, not necessarily a death, but just they're cleaning or they're moving things out or they're giving things away to other thrift places. Maybe they notice many times people want to rush to fill that space. Isn't that interesting? It's like,
It is, because I so look forward to empty space. I do. And I do understand the need to fill the space because it feels like a loss to dispose of things. And
mhm,
instead, maybe it could feel like freedom to not have all the things,
right,
right?
right. A
I've
little
dropped
white,
off a bunch of stuff
yeah.
from our storage from when we moved, stuff we haven't used in 5 years,
Hmm.
and some tidbits from my mom's house that are like tea and thing related. Took them to the office and said, "Have at it." It was gone. The scavengers were there. It was gone. It was like, and now I don't have to hear them in my car or look at them in the house anymore. And I'm going to do it again next week, right?
You know, I did, yes, I did that through my closet, through the upstairs stuff. And now I'm going to do where the laundry is because I don't always, my, my hanging clothes don't always migrate upstairs. They stay in the, and I'm just like, I am so done with this. You know, nursing outfits tops don't necessarily fit. So I am out of here. So,
Yeah, I still got to store some of the old prom dresses because I have one kid who has no space and just is not ready. So, but
mm-hmm,
the rest of them are
mm-hmm,
migrating to the other homes. But we're going to have
yes.
one closet that's half dog clothing and one closet that's half girl clothing. And that'll just have to be how it is.
That how it is. Right. Right.
Yeah,
And how about so you're thinning things out also.
I'm trying. Yeah. It's too much stuff
Mhm.
and it's too much. Like I don't need the stuff for the memories, as we've talked
Mhm.
about before. Some
Mhm.
things I do, right? I
Mhm.
saved out my dad's old cap that he wore, just a soft, fuzzy cap because it was just him.
That
And
was
don't you
him.
know the dog stole it?
What?
Yes, the dog took it off the kitchen table and walked out with it. Like, oh, hell no, that's mine. You can't have that. You can have the other stuff. But yeah, it's bit by bit, it's going out. There's things being sent out on an almost every other day. I'm going out to the car to put things in to be distributed. And
Mhm.
it feels good. It's now then getting it out of the car that's the issue, but
Yeah.
that can
Yeah.
happen too. And then
Yes.
I've got some boxes to send to daughter in Kansas, and that's just getting it organized and packaging it. So, and I was going to do that this weekend, but my mom's brother is declining rapidly, so that's going
Mhm.
to need some attention and some time this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is he near you or do you have to fly someplace?
no, he's here. So I've
Mhm.
we're going to go into the hospital tomorrow, and then I arranged a flight to go see the youngest sister up in Washington because they're like things thin out, people thin out, and we got to get the visits in. So
Right.
we're doing that too because we need to make sure everyone is doing okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, while I
But
was going through stuff,
uh-huh.
And Steve's been hi Steve, he's here.
Yeah.
Well, I found a grief companion, a journal for healing loss, and I don't I don't even remember when I got this or what conference it was, or I find this is interesting. And then I found something else I do not know. Well, it says 1/21/05. And I'm like, really, I've cleaned up since then, but I don't know where I got this. Yeah, January 19th, 2005. It says Spiritual Tools for the Dying. It's called the Lavender Book. And,
Ah,
it's interesting. It talks about creating a sacred space
that's
around
important.
someone that's dying,
Mhm.
and music and relaxation, meditation, guided imagery, massage. A lot of people either, and you have to be careful with the people that are dying, their skin is very, very, very tender and sensitive.
It is, especially if they've had a lot of injections. It
Yeah,
tends to be hypersensitive. Hmm.
right, right. And so sometimes the best place to massage is just here, you know.
Hmm.
There's reflexology is the study of the different points on the hands and the feet. And if
Hmm.
someone's ticklish or they're just too sensitive, just massaging the fingertips and doing this and this, it's okay. And you can put a little bit of oil on the hands. And they talk about the different oils, like peppermint, gardenia, rose. Rose oil is a good scent. And sandalwood. You don't ever want to use the oil straight from from those little bottles
No.
unless it says you can. So be careful. Mix them with some oh, you can mix them with any oil you put on your body, right?
And olive oil too.
Olive oil also. It also talks about spiritual readings and prayer. And I was sending this to a friend that um, Roger Ebert,
Hmm.
when he was dying and he talked to his wife, Chaz, that he said, "You are not going to believe this. This is nothing that I thought." Right. And we couldn't double check the information, but he went on, he was a diehard atheist. And Chaz got the impression he was seeing something that might have been more spiritual, maybe not religious in nature. So as opposed to Daryl's mom, diehard Baptist, you know, so the prayers you say for one might not be
Hmm.
appropriate for another. So
And you
when,
need to check it.
and you can check with the family. I know hospital chaplains are supposed to be well versed, but on some
Yes.
chaplain groups, sometimes they put their religious agenda ahead of spiritual agenda. So you
Right.
might
I
want
and
to
I've
just,
I've seen that in a few hospice chaplains as well who were not well trained, but a professional chaplain who's certified knows better
yeah,
and is
yeah,
typically got like a toolkit like there's no tomorrow. Yeah.
right. And so there's one called a loving kindness meditation. And it's very short, 4 lines. So I'm just going to put it out there. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you have ease of well-being. May you be filled with love for the whole world. I mean, how simple is that? And then sometimes translations from different languages are very beautiful. And this one's a Gaelic blessing. Deep peace of the running wave to you. Deep peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the quiet earth to you. Deep peace of the gentle night to you. Moon and stars pour their healing light on you. Deep peace of the light of the world to you. What a beautiful, simple
Image.
image. If you have someone that is more spiritual than religious, this would fit across the board.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Steve says he uses Harrell's meditation tapes. And yes, indeed, they are cassettes because we're old.
You can switch those over. You could.
I use the Angel's Blessing, which is done half in Hebrew and half in English. It's one that my sister sent Linda when she was dying, and it's sung by a cantor who has since died, but she's just got beautiful music. You can find it on YouTube. While you're talking, I'm going to look it up and find out
Yes, please.
her name because she's
I
amazing.
don't know this. I don't know
Yeah.
this sing. And I definitely can say I don't read Hebrew. I can do transliteration and make it sound pretty good. Maybe not the best, but pretty good. A lot of people like the 23rd Psalm for a lot of more where they say we're not religious, but my mother was. Would you do? And of course, there's the prayer of Saint Francis. There's the 23rd Psalm is also translated by a rabbi, and I love that one too. A couple other things. They talk about creating a ritual. I have seen everything from the ritual of Catholics coming in to anoint them before they die. I have seen flowers. A friend of mine, it's called Portal Points. It's on Facebook. And she makes out of flowers or found objects in the woods mandalas. And so I have seen people lay different flowers around a person. And in the Hindu culture, they do that too. And you might think about, how would a ritual for you, what would you like? And sometimes incense is good. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it covers up certain smells that accompany the dying.
And sometimes it can be too much if someone's got an oxygen concentrator.
Yeah, nothing.
You don't want to get that too close.
Oh, Melissa, we haven't seen you for a while. Yay.
Native American, leave the windows open. Yeah. As well as some of the Eastern Indian religions. Right. Yes.
Leaving the window. Then there's anointing, but anointing doesn't have to be just Catholic. You can anoint someone, you anoint their feet. You can do a blessing just right here on their forehead. whatever you think would be good for the family, or maybe when it's a friend, it's a dear friend, and someone would say, Deb, why don't you do something for so and so? Because that makes them feel better coming from you. You know what I mean? So,
Mm-hmm.
doing this. Um, Melissa, go ahead and write it. Yeah. Oh, Debbie Friedman. I used
Mm-hmm.
to have one of her CDs.
She's got the angel's blessing that is just beautiful, as well
I
as Miss
am going to
Feuerbach.
find her. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. You know, in this lavender book too, and as a CNA, I will never forget the first person that I did the aftercare after they died. Her name was Jenny. And I'm telling you, it was 1984, maybe. Yeah, that's a long time ago, 84 or 85. And many people, when it's their uh, their child that has died, or it's a mom, dad, someone close, a dear
yeah,
friend, they like to be part of the aftercare of,
absolutely.
and
It's something I always think I didn't quite encourage, but I made available. And then
mhm,
some people would want and some people wouldn't. And those who did felt weird because those who didn't. And so there's a whole lot of normalization kind of ahead of time with
right,
after this
right,
ends. I usually started with hospice several days ahead and asked them to lay out the clothing or
mhm,
have the person who was dying pick the clothing they would leave the house in, as well as the clothing that if they were going to be laid out, they would be laid out in.
mhm,
And then I'd make sure that we had a small kit for bathing and hair and things in the room,
mhm,
right? Fresh towels, all
mhm.
of that, and fresh linens.
Yes,
And we did all of that afterward. And by the time we got there, usually we knew who was going to be part of it and who wasn't.
yeah,
Right?
exactly. And I love how some people say, I always set her hair and I'm going to do it when she was alive and when she's dead.
Right.
Like I just remember they really wanted to do her hair,
Hmm.
or
Yes.
I, and nails. And just like in life, she picked
Hmm.
something out. She said, I always wanted to be buried in this. And so, just like in life, I said, you are not going out with that. You look better in this. So I changed her outfit. I said, just like life. I didn't feel bad at all. I
Linda
said, no,
chose
no.
her angels shirt. Yeah.
See,
She
yes,
was going to go out with the angels on, right?
right, right.
We should give people that control and that ability.
Hmm.
And we should encourage the dying person to be part of it if they can be.
Right, right.
We don't want to encourage family fights over what it's going to be. We've had a few in our family over the
Oh,
years.
yeah,
You
that's
too?
where half the family at the funeral is on one side, half is on the other, and you get to pick.
Yeah,
Ha!
we even had a thing about socks on my grandmother's feet when she died. And it turned into a hell of a hullabaloo. And I'm like, yeah, I'm out. Just out.
Yeah,
Y'all
yeah,
can figure this one out. I'm not playing. I don't care.
right, right, right. Like, you all figure this out.
It's not a big deal.
No, no, you're not looking at the bigger picture.
And then we had Katrina's mom, who before she died, years before she died, not only outlined how she wanted to die in her own bed with care, right? She also had her entire funeral planned. She picked out the passages of scripture, which were weirder than weird for a funeral. And she put in a smiley face and said, I really like this for this reason, but don't tell the minister until after they've struggled with it for a little while as to what they're supposed to do with it. And she wrote to the music companies to get permission for their music to be played. It was all in a folder. It was ready to go. Right?
I love it.
Perfect. Melissa says at a funeral facility where she was, they had everyone participate in a departure ceremony, the psalm, and then we sang Amazing Grace all the way out of the building. That's beautiful.
I love that, Melissa.
I've seen them do that with the national anthem when a member of the armed forces was removed.
You know what we had? It was much like an episode on NCIS when they buried one of the first agents, Kate. And my friend Lori had, was it Lori? Yeah, Lori had died. And out of the Unity Church that we came out of, someone was playing Louisiana music, like when you're having a funeral there, and we danced all the way around to this music, the whole building, like a whole block.
Oh my gosh.
And then we came in and there was ice cream and there was popcorn, I think, and cakes, and yeah. It was beautiful. For a cremation ceremony, or cremation memorial, we went to where she grew up. This one woman grew up having playing in the swimming hole. So we went down to the swimming hole and they played Alison Krauss singing Down by the River.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And they let her ashes go at the swimming hole. Yes, Melissa, it is such an honor, dignified and respectful of the residents, passing the family walk behind and the staff followed.
That's how it should be.
The honor walk when someone donates their organs. That's what that is.
I love those. I just looked at my favorite clip from West Wing, although I have lots of them. It's called In Excelsis Deo, and it's when a homeless veteran dies. And one of the characters discovers that this is a decorated veteran who'd been living on the streets. And he used the president's name without permission to arrange military honors at Arlington. And it was right at Christmas. And so the clip goes back and forth from children singing Christmas anthems in the West Wing to this funeral at Arlington, where a brother is reunited with his dead brother. And to me, it just says everything about the being able to pull it all together, right?
Right.
Like Melissa with pulling in all the families at the time of the death and walking out.
Yes.
And the honor walks. It's pulling people together, and it's using music and symbolism and dancing if appropriate, right? It's all those things.
Right. You know, I really appreciate, even more so now, when a family comes together. You know, I get through when the family doesn't come together, and I understand. But there's something special when they can put it aside. It doesn't matter about the socks.
Right.
It matters to them, and I get that. And I love, Melissa, you saying it's a celebration and not hiding what is real and true. Death and life go together.
They happen. Yeah, it's why we, and not to get political, but if we don't talk about things, they don't exist. If we don't talk about death and dying, kids don't know about it. Adults don't know how to handle it. We
Mm-hmm.
have to have those things available. We have to have the resources available. And we have to show them how we can do this. It's why I love having memorial services at Christmas at mortuaries when they're done right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when they make the ornaments, and yes, it's a Christian tradition, but everyone can enjoy an ornament. They can hang it someplace else,
Right.
right? It's why we have sitting Shiva and why that should be shared because that's a tradition anyone can use and
Right.
modify to their own needs. Because you're right, Melissa. We all know what's going to happen.
You know, I know we're a little bit over, but I really want to make this point that so often uh, I think the adults in a kid's life miss an opportunity to introduce or to talk lightly about death when we see dead things on the road, or you're taking a walk and you see a squished whatever. And I'm going to give this example. I think the kids were like 7, 8, 6, whatever. And I went to a birthday party, and one of the grandkids said, "Oh, Bubby, there's a dead mouse here, and I'm giving him at a funeral." And I said, "Good for you. Can I see?" So, one, I showed I was interested in his explanation. And then I said, "Do you want me to say a prayer?" And I said a prayer over some skeletal mouse. I don't know. And I said, did you want any flowers? We can use dandelions or violets or something. And we talked about it. And then when the other grandkids show up, that was all the talk. You want to see the dead mouse and the flowers and all this stuff. And other grandparents were going, "Oh, that's disgusting." And
And
like,
how can you let your grandchildren see that? Yeah.
and
I,
there are
I
also the people that don't talk about anything except
mhm.
being mean. But I say that because parents, if you're listening, or if you're an aunt, a grandparent, if you're someone older and present in someone's life, use these opportunities to talk about life and death
Let
and
me
what
add.
happens.
Right, let me tailgate on that. When I was a child, if we saw someone, the one it's clear in my mind, a cat had been hit, and we were on our way to church, and my mom immediately pulled over and grabbed a beach towel or something from the back of the station wagon, because station wagons are good for carrying all the supplies. And she got us all out of the car, and we went and picked up the kitty who had just died and wrapped it in a towel like a shroud. And she got a piece of paper out and she wrote a note and she said, "I'm so sorry about your beloved kitty, but I want you to know that somebody cared enough to pick her up and lay her here for you. And we'll be saying prayers for you today." And then we picked a couple of
Oh,
dandelions from the side of the road and put them on the kitty. She arranged it so the face that was not mashed was visible so someone could spot their cat.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
she left it on a part of the sidewalk where it would be obvious and someone would see it.
Mm-hmm.
I continued that tradition with my kids. And then my daughter Carrie was picking up her cousins from school when they were in elementary, and a rattlesnake had just killed a rabbit. And she
Interesting.
saw it and was traumatized, but the kids were just about to get out of school, and the custodian had thrown the dead rabbit in the trash on top of the trash where the kids would see it. And she called me in a panic and she said, "Can I do what we do?" And I said, "Yes." And so she went to her car, got the beach towel out, got the box out,
It's
and
the
was
death
seen by the
house.
other parents arranging the rabbit in the towel as the kids were coming out. And the kids who wanted to see it stopped. And Carrie and her cousins brought the rabbit home and buried it in the yard.
Mm-hmm.
And it fits the tradition, right? So now when my grandkids have lost pets, the tradition, because we talk about death and dying, we talk about grief and loss. That's the gift we can give kids, like you saw
Mm-hmm.
being given as well.
Yes, exactly. And Yeah, Melissa, love station wagons.
I
Hatchbacks
miss
are great
them.
too. It doesn't matter. You carry stuff. When you're that kind of person,
You got to have the stuff.
you got to have that stuff.
And you got to have
Yeah.
the back deck that has the thing that lifts up so you got more space underneath it. Like a moving storage unit.
Oh my, yeah, I know. I know. I know.
All right, we're
Um,
over time. We're going to be back next week, and we're going to start talking about movies and grief and movies and loss and dying. And folks, we want your movie thoughts. So please come, movies in hand, instead of Jill having to scroll through YouTube while we were live looking for the clip from West Wing.
yes. Thank you
Melissa,
so.
I'm glad your kids were present for that. That's a special
Yeah.
gift you
Yeah,
gave them.
it
Absolutely.
is.
And my Zoe just came home. She's in a bag on my dresser right now.
Uh,
All right, everybody. Have a good weekend. Deb, have a wonderful weekend. Everyone enjoy the coming of fall, the last of the big moon, and we'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Bye, everyone.
Bye.